3 total touchdowns, 255 all-purpose yards. And how about it? While doing so, those 87 rushing yards put him in rare air. Uncharted territory, if you will. Uncharted waters. The greatest rushing quarterback in NFL history. That is number 8, guys. It's year number 7 for Lamar, and he surpassed Michael Vick with the most rushing yards by a quarterback in NFL history. Lamar turns 28 next month. Here they are, graphics provided by the NFL. This is historic stuff that we're watching. He did it in 41 fewer games. As I mentioned, this is his 7th NFL season, his 93rd career start. Just within the last few games, within the last few months, I should say, he's surpassed 2 of the greatest dual threats that came before him in Vic and Cam Newton. And maybe, just maybe, going home, Lamar is with the greatest gift of them all. One for the trophy case. Folks on the sideline making sure that that football is taken care of so that Lamar can get it, because that's a piece of history right there. Most rushing yards for a quarterback in NFL history. Congratulations to Lamar. At one point, during one of his ridiculously talented scramble runs, which went for 6, of course, he had 4 carries, 87 yards, a touchdown, and a long of 48. On that touchdown run, Lamar had the audacity to say postgame that he was jogging. He was clocked at 21.25 miles an hour. Think about this. Think about him toying with Danielle Hunter, a standout pass rusher in this league, almost playing a game of cat and mouse with him. Lamar is so often a man amongst boys when it comes to his physical ability, the way that he extends plays, the way that he gives his guys a chance. You'll see certain plays where his offensive line, you get to a point where they don't even know what to do anymore because Lamar goes into unicorn mode. And the way that he extends these plays and gives guys chances is uncanny. It's the legendary stuff that makes Lamar Lamar, but you'll never see that ever pop up on a stat sheet. And that's why some of the stuff that Lamar does continues to be and will always be immeasurable. What's absolutely measurable right now is where Lamar stands amongst his peers. And what I mean by peers is this year's most valuable player candidates, Josh Allen and Saquon Barkley. Lamar has over 3,900 passing yards, over 850 rushing yards, and 43 total touchdowns. You see where that ranks when you put it back to back with Josh and Saquon, not downplaying or taking away from anything of the significance that these two players have played with this year, because they have been great for their respective teams. And that will not be argued. But what Lamar's doing with an AFC North title still very much within reach, and numbers like these on top of it, over 4,800 yards, a career best for a 2-time MVP, 43 total touchdowns, that ties a career best. Again, he's got another game to play. And because the division is still up for grabs, they're not going to sit him. So who knows? Speaking of stats padding, because I know so many like to point the finger at Josh Allen this year when it comes to that concept. That could very well be what it might become for 3 quarters, maybe, against Dorian Thompson-Robinson and the lowly Cleveland Browns in the regular season finale. He's thrown just 4 picks, none of which he's been directly to blame for. That is a career best for a 2-time MVP. His completion percentage, 67.9, that's a career best. We'll get to another slide in just a second to show you the historic significance of that stat. And what I mean by that is passer rating. That's what I was referring to. That is historic. a career best 121.6 passer rating average so far. The ones that have asterisks by it, career best, meaning that's a minimum of 200 attempts. But wait till you see the slide on where he is stacking up in single season NFL history when it comes to passer rating. You know where he's stacking up in his teammate Isaiah Likely's eyes? The top overall MVP candidate. Only problem is Isaiah doesn't get a vote. Mike Florio does. Emmanuel Acho does. Dan Orlovsky does. Others in the national media circles do. And guess what? There is slowly starting to be a shift that not only is this MVP race not over, but for my money, unless Josh does something otherworldly in week 17, Lamar is the clear-cut front runner for this award. And Isaiah Likely certainly would back that up as well. Putting up an Instagram story post-game with that slide that I just showed you a second ago where Lamar ranks up against Josh Allen and Saquon Barkley, statistically speaking. And Isaiah's like, are we still debating? Shaking my head. Isaiah speaking for a lot of us on that one. Likely was involved tonight. Scored a touchdown on his one target of the evening. And it was a balanced approach. Lamar spread it out. He's the John Stockton of this team, of this league. He's the point guard. He facilitates. Nobody jumped out at the page in terms of bulk. But when you look around, multiple guys, a slew of guys had at least one catch. Mark Andrews leading the way, 2 for 68 and a touchdown. Mark continues to, stack games. His 67-yard catch and run is his longest reception since his rookie season. He had a 69-yarder that year as a rookie at the Chargers. That's courtesy of Jamison Hensley and the ESPN research crew. Zay Flowers goes 2 for 31. Derrick Henry had a couple catches. And then each of the following guys had one. Keaton Mitchell, good to see him involved. That was a screen too, and big chunk play for him that went for 28. Anthony Miller in garbage time, practice squad call-up. Bateman had a catch. Likely had a catch, like I mentioned, and Tylan Wallace had a catch. Devontae Walker had a drop. So this was just a balanced approach by this offense. Todd Monken was phenomenal. The opening drive was surgical. Big plays from Zay and Lamar set the tone for the night. You got a big day, of course, from the King, who had 85 rushing yards in the opening quarter. There were lanes and windows all over the field for him. He finishes with 147 yards on 27 carries. He did get into the end zone. Broke a franchise record for touchdowns scored in a single season, did Derek. In year one, of course, with Baltimore. He averaged 5.4 yards per carry. Last I checked coming into the game, he averaged 5.9 on the year, which was a career high by a comfortable margin. So there's just so many different areas of this offense that benefit and aid the conversation for Lamar Jackson's MVP case. And former players and former teammates of his have been weighing in, of course, ad nauseum. Odell Beckham Jr., a slew of tweets earlier tonight. Words don't do justice for seeing what Lamar does in person. Of course, OBJ is a current free agent. Des Bryant weighed in on this as well. He quote tweeted OBJ and basically said, look, I try to tell people all the time, 8 is different. So if you start to tally it up here, Lamar's peers clearly feel like he's the MVP. D'Amico Ryans, his opponent, the head coach of the Houston Texans, clearly felt like he was the MVP, and he said as much in one of his pregame press conferences leading into this Christmas Day game. The statistics certainly tell you that he's MVP. I mentioned the passer rating slide. Here it is. Look at where Lamar is potentially heading with one more big performance against the Browns. The highest passer rating in a single season in NFL history is currently owned by Aaron Rodgers, the 2011 version of Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, 122.5, which is just exceptional. Well, guess where 2024 Lamar is? Just really a fraction away from Aaron, 121.6. Got a chance. Got a chance to set that, and I should say reset it, and rewrite the record books as he so often has done throughout this MV3 campaign. So his peers, his teammates, his statistics, the Ravens' record now, and potentially where they're headed, and the strength of schedule, and the AFC North division still being very much within reach, so on and so forth, the head-to-head matchups with his peers, beating Josh Allen the way that he did in September. I could go on and on and on. All of that is skewed towards Lamar. It is leaning in Lamar's favor. I know he's got bigger fish to fry, and I'm sure many of you are tired of this MVP conversation, but it certainly matters for his legacy. And now the Ravens, most importantly, though, moving forward, control their own destiny and have an opportunity to take on the Browns in the regular season finale and put the finishing touches on what could become a historic run with all the momentum shifting in their favor. They're peaking at the right time and just a couple weeks away from potentially hosting a home opportunity, a home game on Wild Card Weekend.